Good morning, one and all. This is Dr. Diana. Welcome to session 35 on modern software engineering. We have been looking into what agile development process is, and we have been trying to contrast it with the traditional software engineering approaches. And then we have revised all 5 units. Now that we have completed the revision of all 5 units, I thought we can run through a picture dictionary to help you understand certain things better, so that it will be easy when you prepare for your examinations. So in the last 2 picture dictionary sessions, we have seen 4 or 5 words each, where we have identified some of the important terms and keywords and jargons in agile software engineering process, and we have dealt with some understanding of it. Now in this session, we are going to look into 4 keywords. The first one is version control, time travel, continuous integration, and collective code ownership. So we will be looking into a picture for each of these 4 words that describe them best, and then try to understand the concept behind each of these words and how they put this into practice. So when they ask about these questions in your examination, you should be able to explain what these concepts are. The first one is version control. Now, why is a version control system necessary, and where do we use a version control system? To understand that, we will look into the traditional approach of software engineering, where people, the entire development team first gathers the requirements from the client, and then all of them put their efforts into design, and then all of them sit together and design, and then all of them sit together and develop. But in agile development, it is not going to be so. We are going to work in teams, and when one of the team is planning and collecting requirements, the other team is going to work on design development. There is another team who is going to work on deployment. So each team is going to work parallelly on different aspects or different modules of the software. So when one module is when it's still in planning stage, the other module they might have completed their testing and deployment also. So it's more like a parallelization of work. When that happens, each one has a different set of code which they are working on. And when the need for delivering to the client comes in, we look for whatever is the final copy of the code from all of these teams, and then combine them and give it to the client. And when teams work parallelly also, each of them have their own set of codes, and all of them have different versions of their code. Now, when during the final deployment phase, when we deliver everything to the client, it becomes really difficult when you try finding the latest version of code from every developer in the team. So to do that, we are going to use a version control system, a system or a server that is capable of maintaining different versions of the developed software. So a version control system is nothing but a hardware server that can maintain different versions of the code. Now when you see this picture, I think it will be even more understandable. So many of the developers are working on different aspects of the code, and the server has a repository. A repository is nothing but a database, a very large database, which is able to maintain different versions separately. Imagine the first developer submits one version of code now and another version of code tomorrow. It will maintain both versions of the code. That's called as a version control server or a repository. Now, once you have this repository, how do we handle this repository and what are the operations of this repository is what we will see next. The key objective of a version control system is to keep all our project artifacts or code in a single authoritative place. A version control system provides a central repository that helps coordinate changes to files and also provides a history of changes that were made to these files. A project without version control may have different pieces of code or snippets of code scattered among the developer machines and networked drives and even on removable drives. So the build process before deployment may involve one or more people scrambling all these places to find the latest versions of their own working pieces of code and then trying to put them in the right places. So this becomes really exhaustive. So we go into a version control system. This is how a version control system might operate. Now when you look into their operation, you have a server from which there is a user who wants to make use of a piece of code. So the main server is called as the repository. A branch operation is performed on the repository which divides that piece of code and gives it to a developer. This is called as a branch operation, and when the developer receives that code, it is called as checkout. So the repository is checking out some piece of code to the developer. The developer then makes some changes, and then after making changes they give it to another developer and they do their piece of change. When another developer wants to change that same piece of code, they perform an operation called merge. So they integrate both the codes from both these developers and then put it back into the repository. When they put it back inside the repository has to now identify whether the code is correct and is working. Only then it takes the code inside the repository. If the code is not able to compile or has some execution errors, it will not take in. So the process of accepting or rejection happens at the repository before it checks in the code. So the process of taking in the code from the developer by the repository is called checking in. So this is the entire version control system. Now there are certain keywords used in the version control system. One called as the repository. The repository is the master storage for all your files and their history. It is typically stored in a version control server, and each standalone project should have its own repository. So every project will have its own repository. And sandbox is also known as the working copy. It is what the team members work on their local development machines. So every time the developer tries or gets a copy of the code from the repository, they put it inside their local machine called as the sandbox. And the sandbox contains a copy of the files in the repository from a particular point of time. So imagine I have downloaded my copy at 9 o'clock in the morning. That copy will be there with me in the sandbox. So if I want the current code, I have to again download or check out my code from the repository. And check out means to create or to take out a copy of the code from the repository. And the next operation is called as update. So I can make any number of changes that I want in the sandbox, and then whatever changes I have made, I can put inside the repository. When I'm making some change to some critical part of the code, and if I don't want others to work on the same piece of code at the same time, then I can lock that file in the repository so that people cannot work on that file or cannot take that file out of the repository for that particular point of time. Until I open the lock, it will not be the server will not allow access for others to use that particular piece of code. The other operation that is possible is to check in. Check in is to commit your code. Once you complete your work in your particular local sandbox, you can see that your code is working. You can compile it, execute it, check it, test it, and then you can put your verified code back inside the repository. Once you send it back to the repository, it becomes available for everybody to access. The process of putting your code back inside the repository after verification is called as check-in or commit. Now, there is also an other option called as revert. Revert means I downloaded a piece of code from the repository. I am putting it in my sandbox. I started working on my local copy and I got stuck with some error. In that case, I can revert back to the original state and get my previous piece of code, and then I can work on that piece of code until I'm done and finished. So reverting your sandbox is to throw away your changes and return to the point of your last update. This is very useful or handy when you have broken your local build. Breaking a build means the code does not execute anymore. So this is handy when you have broken your local build and you cannot figure out how to get it working again. Sometimes reverting is faster than debugging, especially when you have just downloaded from your repository and there are some errors that you created in your code. Then you can download your latest copy from the repository and start working on it again. The other two operations we have already seen in the image. These are branch and merge. Branch is where two people start working on the same piece of code. So everybody take up the same piece of code into their local sandbox and they individually and separately start making changes on that piece of code. And once they have completed their making changes, they will have to merge all their changes by putting it back inside the repository. A version control system can by itself merge two different pieces of code into one. Now, the next key term that we will be talking about is called as time travel. Time travel is a very interesting topic in the sense it allows you to go back and forth in time. How is this possible and what do I mean by that? Imagine this is it's not a very exact picture, but you can relate to this picture. So in 2008 there has been something, in 2009 there has been something, in 2010 there's something. So likewise, the version control system also has at every point of time a tag to go along with the code that was committed. Imagine 5 different developers are working on a project. Each of them will have one piece of code. Imagine the first piece of code has a tag called user credentials, and they have executed their code in the sandbox and they have checked inside the repository. Likewise, each of these 5 developers individually have their own pieces of code, each with their tags. And once they start working or modifying their own pieces of code and they have the second version of the same module, they put it back inside the repository and they add a fresh tag to the newly added content. So every time some piece of code is sent to the repository, the code and a tag along with the code which says when it was checked inside the repository, who checked it inside the repository, whether it was working or not at that point of time, all of this information is tagged to that piece of code. Now, how does this tagging help me in time travel? Time travel is one of the most powerful uses of a version control system. It is the ability to go back in time. So you can update your sandbox with all the files from a particular point in the past. Imagine I started using a piece of code and then I found some error in that piece of code. I don't know what exactly caused that error. So what I can do is I can go to the repository and then download a piece of code from some which was uploaded some long time back in which the error was not there. So I go back to the repository, download a previous version of the code in which that error was not there. Likewise, if the error was still there, then I go still back further. If the error was not there, then I forward in time a little bit and then check with the next version. So I go version by version, checking in exact which version the error arised. So this process of moving back and forth in the timeline to identify where exactly the error happened is called as differential debugging. When you find a challenging bug that you cannot debug normally, go back in time to an old version of the code when the bug did not exist. Then go forward and backward until you isolate the exact check-in that introduced the bug into your code. And then you can review the changes in the check-in alone to get the insight that caused the bug to appear in your piece of code. Now this gives a better visualization of the time traveling. So when you check in your pieces of code with different versions, you can introduce checkpoints as A and B now and then, which have errorless completely executing pieces of code. So everybody who wants to do differential debugging can go back and find their nearest checkpoint from which they can start their differential debugging. That's that way of going back and forth in time in a version control system is called as time travel. The next keyword we will be looking at is called as continuous integration. Continuous integration is a process and a perspective in agile development, which means now that teams are working parallelly on different aspects of the code, every time the extreme programming environment has a deliverable to be given to the client, which is every 2 weeks, we are supposed to collect pieces of code from all the teams who are working parallelly, integrate them, test them after integration, and then provide it to the deployment. When we do this process, it takes a lot of time during the integration testing, because each of these pieces of code was independently developed and was not collaboratively developed. To avoid this time of integration testing and also to avoid errors popping up at the time of integration, we do a process called as continuous integration. Continuous integration is where all these developers who develop parallelly, they use a version control system. SCM is one version control system that is already available. So through the version control system, you put it inside the server. The server compiles your code, it tests the code, and it does a static code analysis, and then it packages your software along with all the machine libraries that are required and has it ready for deployment till where you have checked in. Imagine each developer has a piece of code that they have checked in. All of them will be integrated by the server, and all the machine files required by all these pieces of code will be added along with it, and then it will be packaged or built together to form a deployment module. If there is some error in the deployment or the build or the package that is developed by the version control system, it will be informed back to the developers. This is a continuous process. So every time there is a check-in, it automatically compiles, does the analysis, and creates the machine build or the software. Because of this aspect, the time wasted in integration testing can be avoided before the deployment. And it also helps people understand where there are errors, so that multiple teams working in parallel can collaborate with each other right from the start of development, rather than putting off the integration till the end of the deployment. So the ultimate goal of continuous integration is to be able to deploy at any point of time. Continuous integration is a better approach, and it keeps everybody's code integrated, and it builds the release infrastructure along with the rest of the application. And the point of continuous integration is to be technologically ready for a release, even if you are not functionally ready. So even if the module's function is not complete, whatever is complete, the machine files and the packaging files are ready for deployment. In continuous integration, the other important aspect is shorter cycles make the integration less painful. So short cycles lead to smaller changes, which means there are fewer chances of your changes to overlap with someone else's work. Collision is a point where there are multiple or one or two developers who are working on the same piece of code, and they have independently modified the same piece of code that causes some error during integration. Collisions are more likely when you are making wide range changes. When you do, let the others in the team know that you are making those changes before you start making changes. It will help the others also understand that they will have to integrate with that change. So they will be ready to deal with the change that you are making. How to practice this continuous integration? It is very difficult to put it into practice. So the simple ways of integrating your code are integrating your code every few hours, keep your build, tests and other release infrastructure up to date. So do not worry about the functional completeness of your software. You continuously check in whatever you are having. To integrate, update your sandbox with the latest code from the repository and make sure everything builds before you commit it back to the repository. Don't commit a code that has errors inside the repository. If someone else downloads that copy into their sandbox, they will start working on a erroneous copy. So it will have a lot of trouble when you try integrating. So always check in only executable build into your repository. The next keyword which we will be seeing for today, and the last keyword for today, is collective code ownership. Collective code ownership is where the entire team creates a belongingness to the code that they develop. This means as teams work in parallel, everybody tries to own the piece of code. Or to make changes in the traditional environment, people usually say this part of code was written by him, let him make the changes, because he is familiar with that piece of code. That's how people usually do in the traditional environment. In the agile environment, because everybody works parallel, everybody is supposed to understand every bit of code in their own project, and if a change is required, they should be able to contribute to the change. Or if I am able to identify an error from a piece of code which was written by someone else, I should be able to rectify that error without blaming the other person. So how do we make this collective ownership work? It should create a sense that all are responsible for producing high quality code. And a collective code ownership spreads the responsibility for maintaining the code to all the programmers who are part of the development. So it gives a responsibility to everybody to write the best code that is possible by yourself and fix the problems no matter where you find them. Don't ask or expect the others to fix the problem for you, and don't play the bug blame game, which means when there is an error, don't blame it on the other person. Take the responsibility up by yourself and then start making changes so that it will help the entire team. So these are the 4 words for today. The first one was version control, where you maintain a version control server which can help you maintain different versions of the code. The second one is time travel. Time travel comes along with the version control system, where if you find a bug or if you identify some error, the time travel mechanism allows you to travel back and forth in time with various versions, so that you can identify exactly at what spot an error was introduced. And the third keyword was continuous integration, where you integrate all your executable code inside the repository every few hours, so that you need not wait till the end for an integration before you deploy to the client. And the last one is collective code ownership, where you distribute the responsibility of developing the best code to each member in the team. And when a bug is identified in the code, everybody takes responsibility over it and then helps in rectifying the bug. So with this, we have seen so many versions, so many keywords using a picture dictionary. This is Dr. Diana signing out for today. We will look into more on the next session. Thank you.